Welcome to my How Healthy Are You weekly educational podcast. My name is Dr. Thomas Brewer. I'm a PhD chemist and nutritional blood microscopist. In this podcast, I'm going to be talking about something I thought I had already covered on a previous podcast, and then looking through all the topics, I realized I've never covered this, especially in detail. Now, I've mentioned it, and this topic is the benefits of celery juice, why you drink it, how you drink it. So I'm going to go through that in this podcast, and there's quite a bit of information. The bottom line is you want to drink celery juice in the morning on an empty stomach. So let's go into some of the details. Celery juice is actually the most powerful medicine of our time. So I'll say that again, and this was said by Anthony William, who has written a few books on health and talks quite a bit about celery juice, the most powerful medicine of our time. Now, a lot of people don't realize that, except the ones that may have read Anthony William's books, but celery juice is great for gut and digestive disorders, pretty much all of them, whether it's due to bacteria or under acidity or over acidity, or enzyme problems. It's also great for any blood sugar problems such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and adrenal fatigue. So most people have some form of adrenal fatigue, especially those that drink coffee. And coffee's fine. It's just something you don't want to drink right around the time you're consuming celery juice. Celery juice detoxes the liver. Most of the time that I recommend celery juice, it's because I see something called acanthocytes in someone's blood. So these are red blood cells that have triangular points on the membrane, and I could see that they've got liver toxicity, and I suggest that they start their morning with celery juice because of its ability to detoxify the liver. It also detoxifies the brain because celery juice crosses the blood-brain barrier, and I'll go into the active mechanism, how celery juice works. It's also good for acne or any skin disorders like eczema, great for the thyroid, even though I've got a video out on how to heal your thyroid by avoiding fluorine, chlorine, and bromine and consuming iodine. I could add an extra part to that, drinking your celery juice. It's also good for Lyme. A lot of my clients have had Lyme or believe they have Lyme disease, and I usually put them on the colloidal silver cycled with probiotics, but the celery juice would be really a 1-2 punch combined with the colloidal silver and probiotics. So consuming celery juice as juice, not the plant, not from a blender, but from a juicer, is very anti-inflammatory and very alkalizing. So I talk about pH, and I say, well, we don't want to be alkaline and we don't want to be acidic. We want to be able to change pH when we need to, and that's what celery juice provides. Now, technically, celery is an herb, and as herbs go, you don't always have to consume the entire herb. Sometimes you put the herb in hot water and you make a tea, or you make some extraction from the herb. That's one of the reasons we're using celery juice for the healing as a medicine and not consuming celery. Consuming whole celery is great, but that's not going to give you the benefits that I just described. So the mechanism, the chemistry behind how celery works is the sodium cluster salts. So these are not simple salt like sodium chloride. A lot of people think celery is high in sodium. Well, they're actually different type of sodium than you're used to thinking about These are sodium cluster salts. You can think of them as macro sodium. So most of the benefits from celery juice is because of these sodium cluster salts, and it's optimized in the juice. Okay, so I had mentioned you don't want to consume whole celery for the medicinal purposes. Whole celery is a great food, but it's different when you don't include the fiber. Another thing people will do is they'll say, well, I'll just get some celery powder and add water to it. Totally different. The water that's in celery is very unique. It's kind of like saying the water in your blood is the same as tap water. No, it isn't. The plasma, the water of our blood, is very nutrient dense and very unique. Now, we can feed our blood by drinking water, but the actual plasma in our blood is very specific, and the actual water that's in celery is very unique. It is not like water you'd get from purified water. Now, these salts, this sodium cluster salts, they actually remove toxic organ salts. So salts that are accumulating in our organs, like our liver and pancreas, it actually helps remove those. So it's the opposite effect of consuming salt, and that's where people have a hard time understanding. How can you consume something with sodium and it actually removes salt? It removes toxic salts, but that's how it works. It also will break down and allow the body to eliminate heavy metals, bacteria, and viruses. So that's where a lot of those benefits came from when I had mentioned how it detoxes the liver and it's good for acne and eczema, because these sodium cluster salts are very antibacterial and antiviral. Now, as for the liver, I always would tell people to drink celery juice in the morning to help detox their liver. And what it does is it helps the liver produce very healthy bile. And as our livers get stressed by having to decompose all the toxins we eat and drink and breathe, the liver gets overworked and your liver enzymes go up and the quality of the bile goes down. So bile is something that the liver makes. It's stored in the gallbladder, and this is how we digest fats. This is a problem when gallstones form. A lot of it is from poor quality bile. So the celery juice will allow the liver to make good bile, and in essence, it will detox the liver. Okay. It also helps with our hormones. So there are plant hormones in the celery, and these hormones are very nutritious, and they feed every hormonal gland, or essentially our endocrine system. So they feed our hormones and allow us to balance our hormones. Very good for autoimmune disorders, and I've talked about these in the past. The autoimmune disorders are somewhat of a quandary, because why would the immune system attack itself? And there's a lot of chemistry that's involved with autoimmune disorders, and some of them really aren't autoimmune disorders. There's something else, but often they're viral related. So celery juice also helps activate existing digestive enzymes. So we have thousands of digestive enzymes and various types of enzymes made in the body all the time. Some of them lose their activity, so not just digestive enzymes, but other enzymes. Enzymes make reactions go faster, so digestive enzymes make digestion go faster and to completion. So celery juice will help reactivate enzymes that have lost their activity. Now, this is a different mechanism than taking the plant enzymes, but it's something you would really want to do both. Now, celery juice will act like a prebiotic, and if you read the newsletter that will be coming out in an hour or two, you'll see that one of the nuts acts like a prebiotic. I talk about the 3 best nuts to consume. And celery juice is a little better and different than a typical prebiotic. Prebiotics feed our probiotic bacteria. Celery juice not only feeds the probiotics, it also helps destroy the parasitic bacteria, so you get a double benefit. Now, I was talking a little bit about the water that's in celery, and people say, well, celery is just all water. Well, it's very bioactive water, and the reason you don't dilute your celery juice is because of this. We don't want to dilute this special water that's in celery juice with any other water that isn't bioactive, and that's the same reason you wouldn't use a powder and use some sort of purified water or tap water or bottled water. The water in celery juice is very unique. So I mentioned about it breaking down gallstones. The other thing it will do is it'll help with diverticulitis. So with diverticulitis, you have these diverticuli, they get inflamed, and they're in the small and large intestine. Well, celery juice will allow you to clean out those diverticuli that get inflamed, and then once they're cleaned out, taking something like the Aloe Max will work so much faster and better because the diverticuli are no longer inflamed. They've been cleaned out. Okay, so again, the celery juice that you consume in the morning must be pure, straight, and unadulterated. So not diluted with water, not mixed with carrot juice, no lemon, no honey, no sweetener, just pure celery juice. So the way you do this is you get a cluster of celery. You'll cut both ends off, because if celery juice is normally cut in a machine, and where it was cut, bacteria will grow. So you'll see a little section, it may only be 1/4 of an inch, where there's discoloration. You're going to cut that off. You're going to rinse your celery. You're going to juice it, and you're going to drink it on an empty stomach. Once you consume it, you're going to wait a minimum of 20 minutes and preferably 30 minutes. So if you're in a hurry, you wait only 20 minutes to let it do its job before consuming anything else. Anything else includes water, it includes coffee, it includes breakfast. So you're going to wait 20 to 30 minutes and just let the celery juice do its thing. Okay, now it is best to start off with organic celery, and I don't need to really say much about that. Everyone knows organic celery is going to be superior. As far as taste, drinking celery juice is not about taste. Some people like it, some people don't. It's not about taste. It's about healing. So I recommend you utilize what's called a masticating juicer. They look like a screw, almost like a meat grinder, essentially, for vegetables. One of the best ones out there is Omega. You can find it on Amazon. I encourage you to make your own juice, not to buy it in a store, not to buy it in a bottle. Most of the bottled juices have been pasteurized. You're going to eliminate most of the medicinal and health benefits of freshly squeezed celery juice. So if you're going to buy it, just don't do it. You need to make your own. It's got to be fresh. The longest you can wait to drink the freshly squeezed juice is 24 hours, but it starts diminishing even in the first hour. So every hour it starts diminishing in activity. As far as ounces, I recommend you start with 4 ounces a day and gradually work up to 16 ounces. Now, if you have trouble getting past 8 ounces, that's fine. As long as you're consistent, you're going to get the health benefits from celery juice. And I only mentioned about 10 minutes ago about 1/3 of the benefits of consuming celery juice. There are many more. Like I said, consume it on an empty stomach. So even if you drink water in the morning, you're going to want to wait 20 minutes after drinking water to consume the celery juice. We want this special juice to enter our gastrointestinal system without any hindrance and without it being diluted by anything else. I had mentioned it crosses the blood-brain barrier. That is a tough thing. Not many antioxidants cross the blood-brain barrier or nutrients. Astaxanthin is one of them, which is in the heart algae, again, to help relieve inflammation in the brain, as well as any brain-related and cognitive function. But you'll notice people that consume celery juice, their dementia will diminish. Okay, fiber that is normally present in celery is really going to block the active sodium cluster salts. It's all about these sodium cluster salts and the unique water that's in celery juice. Now, there is a way to make celery juice even better, and this is how I start every morning. So I'll get up and I will drink a glass of water, wait 20 minutes, and then I have a glass of warm lemon water. So I have half a lemon squeezed, and then I add warm water. The water I add is about 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's just warm. It's not hot. It's far from boiling. It's just warm water. So warm lemon water, half a lemon, and this is 20 minutes after just drinking pure water. This is also good for the liver. So just drinking lemon water on its own is very good to detox the liver. But we're going to add the next step, which would be the celery juice, 20 to 30 minutes after the lemon water. If you don't have time to do both, pick one or the other. Either do the lemon water or do the celery juice. But I recommend you do, at a bare minimum, one of those to keep your liver detoxed. Another question I get about the celery juice, is it okay to do this if you're pregnant or breastfeeding? A resounding yes. It is one of the best ways to feed nutrition and remove toxicity from your baby. So it's recommended if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. So I think I covered that in quite a bit of detail. That's what I have for this podcast. One thing I want to ask everyone listening to this is to teach at least one idea that you've learned from me to a friend. Essentially, pay it forward. And as always, thanks for listening.